Welcome. It is Lipedema Awareness Month. Kind of going to turn out to be more like Lipedema Awareness Week. It's been a very busy June. There's been lots of really good events on that many of you, I'm sure, have attended. But it's also a nicer time of year. So we're outside and enjoying things. And even my little friend Jennifer's looking a little, I see you on the beach all the time.
Yes.
With my friend Jennifer here today, going back probably almost 2 years when I didn't know what I was talking about and started this group. Jennifer was kind enough to allow me to do a little work on her back virtually. And, turns out she knows a whole lot more about the body than I initially realized 2 years ago when we first met. Today, I will, in the recording of this, I will post our previous chat so you can hear a little bit more about Jennifer's personal mountain that she has been climbing for some time. We're going to talk briefly about that today, but I would like to talk very much about Jennifer's skill set as a massage therapist herself. So I'd like to introduce Jennifer, and if you could tell us where you're from, a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about the business that you've been successfully managing for some time.
Okay. Well, hey guys, and welcome. As Debbie did say, my name is Jennifer, and I am from Fort Smith, Arkansas. And I'm a mom of two. I have one grown daughter and one teenage son. And I am a full-time massage therapist here in Arkansas, and I am a certified lymphatic therapist, which is my passion. I love helping people out every day. That's just my passion. I can't even get started talking about it because it's just my heart. So yeah, Debbie started helping me. I had some chronic back issues, and I reached out to her wondering what the heck this vibration plate thing was, and so she's got me on a path to feeling so much better.
A lot of that I always throw back at you guys is, I can't make you do anything. I can nag you, I can give you the visuals, but really any success story that's ever been discussed is consistency of you sticking with it. And may I ask, just for those that have not met you or aren't aware of you before, how long ago were you personally diagnosed with lipedema?
So I have personally never been diagnosed by an MD. And when I went through my training for lymphatic therapies through the Vader Institute, one of my trainers came to me so politely and was like, so we need to talk. And of course, I'm petrified because I'm going through this brutal class. And she introduces lipedema to me, and that was back in 2010.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. And there's a reason I asked the way that I did, and we'll get to that shortly. So 2010, so 12 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so I live in Arkansas, and we are not a big, huge city here where I live. And there are no doctors that I have come across in the past 12 years that even recognize lipedema. They kind of look at me like I'm a crazy person. And so for myself, I research what I can. It helps that I am knowledgeable with the body system, but I make myself learn. And I just treat myself. Find out how detrimental foods are to me and how foods make me feel. And, I have always been very active, but with my lipedema, I'm learning now that I can work out too much and I can work out too little. That there is just this happy medium that I have to find for my body. Because if I work out too much, it hurts my body. If I don't work out enough, it hurts my body.
It's a balance. And it's an ever-changing journey to a degree. I've known Jen, like I say, I wouldn't say intimately, but we had a good chat, like I say, 2 years ago, and her back was in really bad shape, so on top of that, it's very easy to have a setback. And part of the reason my group, I guess, started it inadvertently is, many of you Oh, I wish I could bottle the discipline and the will that you have, and we'd all be rich. But unfortunately, until you're dealing with something, we don't always take our health serious. And Jen and I were just talking here briefly before camera, and there's two key factors, and she just mentioned the first one without realizing is it is the food. You know, there isn't the I wish I could say here's the perfect diet for lipedema. I hate the word diet, first of all, but it's, you know, food is our fuel. It can be our medicine. And, you know, whether you have lipedema or another chronic condition or nothing at all, you know, everybody's different. And through the process of healing or aging or things our body goes through, that too can have to change or evolve based on what your body may need or not need. And the activity piece, without her even realizing, she also mentioned. So, you know, activity, we were talking before Cabra again, one of the questions I would get it, you know, not just what is good for lipedema for food, but, you know, what's the perfect setting for lipedema, or what's the perfect, you know, it really is an individual thing. And what's so brilliant about someone like Jennifer as a therapist, you know, that firsthand experience of her own self-care, which doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the best path for everyone, but it's that experienced approach, you know, better to identify resources. And Jennifer also mentioned, depending on what state you live in, part of what these talks this week I'm talking about is you know, lipedema is kind of the, you know, the most undiagnosed, you know, that there's so many ways it can be diagnosed, but having someone being able to sign and officially stamp that piece of paper, you know, Jennifer has been managing her care for 12 years now, and she didn't need a diagnosis to do that. But I'm sure coming to the realization and the education of, you know, this is what I may be dealing with, you know, it gives you some direction at the very least. So I want Jen to explain a little bit about within her state, for example, some of the fine print. So you not only do you have the experience, you know, when you're dealing with lipedema, if you have someone that has lipedema, it's kind of a win-win to have them as your massage therapist. But what are some of the parameters or provisions for you to function? What can be claimed, what can't be claimed? Because this is sometimes where the rubber hits the road. You know, whether we've got the diagnosis or not, we know what we're dealing with. We're going to someone that not only, you know, anyone can get training, but it's, you know, it's that tenure, that experience of dealing with these conditions and changing gears for the variety of just the degrees of symptoms within these conditions. So what are some of the parameters for you as a business person, as a therapist doing this?
Well, so, you know, fortunately I can advertise myself, market myself as a certified lymphatic therapist, which does help in some ways, but here in Arkansas, not everybody, well, a large percent of people, they're not even familiar with, well, what's this lymphatic thing that you speak of? So they're not even educated. So I do have the luxury of being able to educate my people and share my experience with them. I did also work in oncology for about 9 years. Awesome. Which I strictly did lymphatic massages there with my cancer patients. So I have the freedom to do that, but I also have the knowledge to let them understand that, yes, even if you do have a diagnosis, even if you do have insurance in the state of Arkansas, most insurance companies will not pay for any DMEs, durable medical equipment, as such as we need compression. And you're not going to find many insurance companies in the state of Arkansas that will even cover any type of compression garments for us that we need. They will not pay. They will pay. Some insurance will pay for 10 treatments for lymphatic therapy. Some will pay for 21, if you're lucky, for a lifetime. Not for a calendar year, but for a lifetime. And this actually can only be filed through a PT, OT, medical doctor. And even myself, as a certified lymphatic therapist working under a medical doctor, still am not being able to receive any kind of help through insurance companies for my clients.
Or yourself.
Or myself, exactly. So, in taking care of myself, I've always had the attitude of, well, so what if I have a medical doctor to diagnose me, which has not happened, and I've been to several, but no diagnosis has been made through a medical doctor. But what good is that going to do me?
Exactly the $1 million question. So if we were to go back in time 12 years and you had started this journey with the diagnosis, and part of the reason I'm hanging up on this point is there's so many of you out there that I fear are waiting for this piece of paper to start caring for yourself and feeling better. I hope you get it. I hope you have a relationship with a doctor that at least understands your condition. But even if you did, a lot of times in our groups, we talk about, who's the doctor? What's the name? Where can you refer me? But the story I'm hearing, and it's also exactly the same path on the vibration machines. I want to buy one and I've got an insurance company that should cover these things. They've never heard of it. They've never heard of it. It's not a mainstream thing, even though, my little stats, I was talking with Jen, if we're basing 1 in 9 in the US as having lipedema, which is what I've seen on a lot of sites lately, that's 30 million Americans right now, diagnosed or undiagnosed, dealing with this. That's the same number of people dealing with diabetes. And look at how many commercials and things in the drugstore specifically catering to that market. The disconnect in this community is understanding what it is. And I feel, sometimes beating up at the doctors and expecting them to be the advocates. We need to advocate for ourselves for sure. But to me, the rubber seems to be stopping at the insurance, the funding, the money, right? So even if your doctor did say yes, and even if, you're working with Jennifer and she's not a PT, but she knows one, and in her state, she does everything she does to get that paper trail in. Don't think she hasn't tried this herself. It's still, the decision lies with who's doing the funding. So, I don't want you guys waiting to feel better. I think, connecting with therapists like Jennifer that are more versed perhaps in what you may be dealing with. Again, she like me cannot offer, we can't say, but I'll tell you, I find myself walking up to people at the post office and saying, hey, the back of your knees, I see these little, if, I would rather be slapped in the face and not insult someone, but there's nothing more frustrating than people telling you you're crazy your whole life and you knowing that you're not. So, Jennifer's had certainly, I'm going to take a little bit of the credit, as she mentioned earlier, with the vibration machines, but I personally feel that the biggest one hurdle for all of you that can make the most impact in your life overall, and your insurance company is not going to be involved either way, is the food piece. Don't look at it as a diet. Don't look at it as it is everything in moderation, of course, but it's understanding, how certain foods or what foods are that they're going to affect this condition, just like an activity may, just like a lotion might affect you. When you're ingesting something into your body, at least start by looking at quality, if possible. Moderation is a big problem for me. I had 3 fudgesicles last night because it's summer, and that's what a great excuse, right? Well, I bought them for the kids. But, I find that the more I stop beating myself up about when I do break the cycle and just getting into good habits and teaching those around me about those good habits, we all derail. But, little bits, it's taking you a long time to get to the position that you're in, accumulate the symptoms that you have. It's going to take some time. And eating is also a form of detoxification, good in, bad out. So you combine that with the skill set of someone like Jen and get those lymphatics moving. There's a lot of benefit you can do without waiting for the blessing of the insurance. And I don't mean to beat up insurance people if you're on the call today, but it really is, everything has to have a code. Everything, if you're selling something, everything has to have a barcode. If you're looking for treatment, it has to have a code. And even though lipedema has now been 2 years under the standard of care, it's still going to be quite some time. I feel before the medical community as a whole recognizes it walking through the door, let alone, you know, being it part of an everyday conversation like diabetes may be. And, you know, the catch, so many of you have diabetes too. You know, there's a lot of, I think the most tragic thing out there outside of not having a diagnosis is a misdiagnosis. And I know Jen and a few other gals I've dealt with, especially when you're dealing with the pain, you know, it's fibromyalgia, or it must be, you know, MS, or there's, you know, just because it's more recognized. And this is where I'm going to switch back to Jennifer here too, but symptoms are a very universal thing, you know, so, you know, the lymphatics can be inflamed for a number of different reasons. It doesn't always mean it's lipedema. It doesn't always mean it's a cold or a flu, but you know, if you are dealing with lots of inflammation, if you're having issues with your lymphatics, sometimes, you know, just going for a massage or increasing your fluids to, I don't want to use the dentist analogy, but I had my son's getting some tooth work done, and until the inflammation's down, they're not going to do anything on the tooth. So kind of like the rest of your body, if you're always dealing with inflammation, I think there's a lot of misdiagnosis going on out there. And it can contribute to weight, mental stress, all kinds of things. So if you don't go for massage therapy now, one of the things I wanted to caution before I send you back to Jen here is don't just go to any massage therapist. And I'm going to let her elaborate on this, but just like you don't go to any guy that's going to do liposuction, you know, look at how much homework you guys do on that piece of it. You know, have the same diligence. Sometimes it's education and you got someone willing, but you know, if you're looking and you've been dealing with lymphatic issues for quite some time, many of you are on this call hearing about this disorder for the first time. You know, explore someone like Jen that has particular experience in that lymphatic area, not just the certification on the wall. I'm talking hands-on time doing, because there's going to be some insight that she can offer to just help you better self-manage your care. So let's talk about that a little bit. Just going to, you know, you have lipedema, it's the worst you've ever seen. What could happen if you just go for the $19 massage that was on Groupon this week?
Well, I mean, selecting your massage therapist, your lymphedema therapist, your lymphatic therapist, whatever you're gonna, you know, seek out, don't be afraid to contact that person. And I get calls, you know, from people frequently asking me, so what is this? But don't be afraid to ask them questions. I could hang a sign out on my door saying that, you know, I can do Reiki, I can do reflexology. Well, I can because I've been given a simple 6-hour, 8-hour course in it. I don't have any idea what I'm doing in those areas. But you need to question your therapist. If you're going for lymphatic therapies, first of all, foremost, if you are a cancer patient and you're going because you are having issues with lymphedema, and you're seeking out a lymphatic therapist that is not knowledgeable in this, you're definitely going to injure your body. I mean, even a patient that has autoimmune disease, and I've ran across this just because I've been studying it a lot lately, is you can actually cause more inflammation to your body by receiving that deep tissue massage. That, yes, it does feel good to your body, but what effects will happen, or what effects are going to occur to your body in inflammation from getting that deep tissue massage? And
could be contributing to the problem you've been dealing with all along.
Yes, it could be. Yeah. And, you know, make sure your therapist is knowledgeable enough to seek out, you know, do you have an autoimmune, you know, are you taking certain medications? Do you have heart issues? Do you have liver? Do you have kidney problems? Because all of that is going to affect your body in the type of massage that I'm going to be providing you for the day.
That's awesome. Now, I know there's way more information about you that I would want to share, because I ramble, if you ever joined me before, but there are other places you know, if you are seeking a therapist and you happen to be in the state of Arkansas or passing through, Jennifer does have a healthy Facebook page, and we will drop some links onto how you can find her if you do have questions for her personally, you're seeking her services. And she gave some very wise words here in her last little point too, you know, that anyone can, you know, get a vibration machine and, you know, say that they're a vibration machine trainer, I guess too. You know, why do I get to say that? It's 15 years, you know, and there's still no place to get a piece of paper. I should make one up for people or something, but it is, it's, you know, the whole accreditation system out there, you know, in a lot of cases is, you know, it has its place for sure. And there's continuing ed credits required in some areas, but, you know, many of these also require practicum time, you know, time on applying the skills that you've learned. And what I'm suggesting for many of you, you know, you've had 30, 40 years of this conditioning develop. You may or may not have a diagnosis, you may have a misdiagnosis, but, you know, do yourself a favor and seek experienced hands. And if you do not have experienced hands locally, you know, there is a network out there within our own little world, and you can search some of our groups. You know, perhaps, you know, you're too far away from Jennifer, but perhaps she has a buddy or someone she can recommend. You know, I don't necessarily know how that works, but I think her points are very valid. You need to look at it as it's a two-way exchange. You're not going in there just based on something you see in an advertisement. You want to make sure that what's being claimed is true. And what I want to make sure is you're not doing more harm than good. And it's very similar to what I say on the machines. I mean, if you want to go longer, everybody gets so mad at me. Well, my machine goes like 10, 15 minutes. So I went 10, 15 minutes. Why just 3? Why do it feels so good? I know. You know, but tomorrow when you're not walking so good, or you've depleted the energy you have, or you're paying for 20 minutes, you know, in a row 3 times a day, there's things, everything in moderation. And, you know, if you haven't gotten off the couch and gone for, you know, a walk around the block in a decade, 10 to 15 minutes on a machine, even just the most passive use, you know, maybe just sitting in Jen's office and putting your feet on it. You know, there's lots of ways to introduce your body gradually, just like going for massage therapy. You know, and once things start moving and flowing better, whether it's, you know, hands-on massage or massage through the machine, there's a wonderful harmony of both. But then you can progress, and just like Jennifer, you know, her symptoms and how they present and her triggers vary, but it's that experience of seeing so many variables along the way and having to change gears of how she's treating is really where that experience is so invaluable, even if it's just, you know, a bit of a conversation, you know, to get your, because there is a lot of good information out there. But I gotta say, guys, you know, times are tough. There's also a lot of charlatans out there. If you don't know what the word charlatan is, then I'm old. But, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of people, you know, that probably honestly believe they're qualified in doing what they're doing. But if they've never heard of your condition, it's great that they're willing. But I would move on for your own personal care until they get a little bit more experience. That's just my 2 cents. Same with me. You know, you can follow manufacturer guidelines all you want, but there's a reason, you know, there's thousands in my group looking for alternatives, because many of you overdo it is probably the most general word. I don't like saying people hurt themselves on the machine. It hurts, but you didn't like injure something that's going to last the rest of you. You know, you might have over exercised a little bit. You might have bruised a little bit. If you over massage, you know, that how you guys are affected by activity varies. And all the machine is, you know, like a super powered condensed form that's a little kinder on, you know, all those loose and achy joints that you guys deal with. And if you are dealing with pain, which many more of you are, like Jen, than not, it's easy to overdo it, because if some shaky thing or some massage can take your pain away, it's easy to have that be the go-to. But make sure that I want you to progress, you know, whether it's in, you know, the food piece or the fitness piece or the massage piece, you know, there's no such thing as a miracle. So even though you might be moving and feeling better after you've had a visit with somebody like Jen, you want to make sure that, you know, the preventative piece, that you don't want to get back in that situation like Jennifer did with her back, you know. So pay attention to the triggers. If you don't know what they are, start paying attention. You know, if you had a big episode, what was I doing yesterday? What was it? You know, was it a deep tissue massage? Maybe that's why I'm back black and blue all over my legs. So, you know, sometimes we've been doing something habitually for so long, we don't, there can't be anything wrong with it because I've been doing it forever. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I had a horrible night just on Tuesday night, and my legs were absolutely killing me. I didn't sleep. And
Oh,
so all day I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I eat? Like, what did I eat last night? Or what did I not do? Because,
yeah.
you know, I haven't experienced this type of pain in a while.
And did you figure it
But
out?
I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? Well, because I didn't go, and I am not a disciplined person. I'm not like, I'm just not. But I went to my pool that night, and because I didn't go to my workout, I decided, oh, well, I'm going to do all these kicks in my pool and get my legs moving and just, you know, go like a crazy person in there with my legs. Well, dumb me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, yeah. So I did too much to my body that night. And so I paid for it. So.
And we were, you know, the other thing with folks like you, Jen, that all, I don't have chronic pain, meaning, you know, chronic pain, I guess I do sometimes with the knee and the sciatic, but chronic pain, it's almost like a relationship. You know, it's always there. And I think very often we cope more than we need to just because it's kind of always there. And, but you got to pay, you know, if it's a 7 or 8 on a regular basis, you really don't need to be suffering. And maybe it is looking back at, you know, what are we doing or what are we not doing? You know, sometimes it's a simple, you know, maybe you're a little low on magnesium, or maybe you need to shake on your machine a minute or two after the pool.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes it's returning to activities that maybe you used to do all the time, but if you've taken a break, you know, it's almost kind of like a reset. So, you know, if you've taken a week or 2 or longer off of an activity that you were quite diligent at, you know, the body slumps back easy and falls into old habits real quick. So, you know, be a little conservative, start back at half the time. But because it feels like, even the pool, because it feels so good, and you know, we got here, and we you know, it's that validation that we did it, we do tend to overdo it. So we're our own worst enemy many times. But like I say, this is where that balance of, you know, it's good to be fit and it's good to feel strong, and but you know, it's okay to just feel good and manage sometimes those conditions that are there, but some of them, yeah, we do create ourselves. So
Yes, it's hard. I mean, I'm 48 years old, but my brain says, hey, you're only 20 and you can go and do and play. And
yep.
but then my body is like, oh, hold up. No, sister, you can't do that. So
Just listen to it. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag. Jen has been using a vibration plate for quite some time. I'm very excited that she has now recently incorporated one into her business.
yes.
So I need more teachers out there on the ground, as you know. So I'm very excited that Jen will be incorporating and offering that to her clients as well. So not only can you see an experienced massage therapist, but you can also see vibration as well with her now. So I'm looking forward to maybe talking, you know, a couple, 3 weeks down the road and see the coolest thing about adding, for me, back to me, a vibration machine to someone like yours, your toolkit, is you've got a lot of experience and results and know your clients' bodies now. And when you add that new stimulus, there's different things that you'll notice and you'll hone in on. And I'm always curious what your perspective is, because it's a completely different set of skills and experience than I'm bringing to the table. But there's usually some common things. But what I'm going to forecast a month down the road, and what, because you have the condition, you don't need a diagnosis because you know what you're dealing with. I find it most curious to see how you, the tools of your hands, those I hope it reduces the time and effort that you physically have to spend on clients. And if it's not physically reducing time on your clients, it's that recovery tool between clients for yourself, putting your hands on it, sitting on it with your, you know, just sitting on your hands on it for a minute or two. I don't know if I think I told you the story. The very first massage therapist I ever put a machine into their office was a very old Oriental lady in Chinatown, Calgary. And when I got there, I was so excited and I wanted to do a little demo with her. And it was this big upright thing back in the day. And I brought it into her little shop, and she had this little closet that it like barely, like you could open the door and close the door, and that's all the room there was. And I said, well, how are you going to get your clients? And she got very upset with me, and she said, this is not for my customers. This is just for me. They don't get to use it. I thought it was just, she was getting up there, and she's still doing 12, 13, 14 sessions a day. It was for her arms and her back. So she could still, I thought it was so cute. So, I mean, she did end up offering it, but, even just, to prolong your day for the, now that you have one at the office, that you don't always get home to do it. And I'd love it if everybody could get on their machine like 5 times a day for 3 to 5 minutes. But that's not life sometimes. So you now have more access, as do your clients. So I'm really looking forward, probably hit you up for a follow-up in a month and
Oh yeah.
thing.
I did tell you when we were talking earlier that I got it out of my box and put it in my office. And my very first client, I had her stand on it for 2 minutes. And whenever I got finished with my massage, she's like, oh my gosh, that's the best ever. I feel so good today. That was great.
It makes you feel happy.
And I was like
I don't, everything else aside, it just puts you in a good mood. It puts them in a good mood. There once was a car dealership that I knew that put 2 vibration machines in their waiting room. So you'd get on it for a minute or 2 before you went in to do the deal. Like you were in a better mood. You're all, and I thought, oh my God, it works everywhere. But anyways, but yes, I'm looking forward. It did arrive this morning. I actually didn't expect you might not see it till the weekend, but I'm really happy it arrived. We will tell you more about what Jen has and how it's working out maybe in another visit, but your clients are going to have a better ride now when they come see you, and your back looks okay. It's, that's 2 years ago, but have you had any issues lately with it?
I did have a setback in November.
Yep.
Just, leaning over to grab something and smack. I was down for the count. But
how do you resolve it when you have those big crashes?
So in the past, the way when I very first had my back injury, my way to take care of it was to do nothing and lay there because I hurt, but not anymore. Now I've understand, and the more I move, the better I feel. So I shake, I swim, and it's perfect. It's like 120 degrees here.
Nice.
But shaking is my go-to. I've been having, because I'm a therapist, all this tingling in my hands lately. So I go and sit on my hands, sit on my butt, shake, because it makes me feel so much better.
A lot of times too, where the symptoms present are not necessarily, I'm all about
where they're coming from.
So, anybody dealing, I know you've got a back issue, but if I didn't know you had a back issue, I'd say maybe there's something going on with the spine or some degenerative disc there. Usually when you start noticing, especially in the hands, there's a million reasons you get neuropathy or tingling in the feet.
Yeah.
For me, those of you that don't know me very well, I am never wireless. I'm very anti those things, but I could show you pictures where my 3 fingers are completely white. You could smash them with a hammer just because I'm wireless or I'm using our body tells us things in different ways. And when nerves are communicating, sometimes it's numbness and tingling, sometimes it's cold, but very commonly it is pain. So my last little ramble, if you are working with someone like Jennifer, or you're using a machine at home and you start to notice an improvement in those type of sensations, don't be discouraged if it's painful. I know that sounds really kind of sadistic, but when I have people that have had neuropathy and haven't felt their feet in 20 years and they say, oh, my big toe hurts, I'm quite ecstatic about that because it's feeling. And your body, I work with a lot of cerebral palsy as well. And a lot of my little kids, you know, the pain and the spasticity can be so severe that it, you know, actually your brain just doesn't want to feel it. It shuts off those neural pathways, but the signals or the communication, the messages, they don't disappear. They just get a little bottled up. So, you know, as you start improving sensation or regaining, you know, you kind of get this flood of what's been bottled up there. So stick with it, be patient. If things are really, really intense, it's usually duration. So reduce the amount of time, you know, or the frequency maybe that you're going for massage. I'm sure most of you don't do this, but I do have a client right now that is seeing 3 massage therapists because they won't do her every day. So and I thought, well, that's just silly, right? If you know, if hands-on is going to help, but again, root cause, you know, Jen's a really shining example of that, you know, how she used to treat her back and how she does treat her back now. So I'm glad that it's not me. It's experience and understanding with her own situation. So
it is. We just have to learn our bodies and listen to our bodies. That's the biggest thing. And
cool.
I thought for so long that being sedentary was going to make me well, but actually that was so far from the truth. And I hear it every day on my table, you know, people that they're living a sedentary lifestyle. They're taking drugs, pain pills to get by the day. And I'm like, you've got to move. You got to move. Well, I can't move because I hurt. Well, I get it. I get it. I mean, I know it hurts, but like you say, even, you know, it can be the duration. So, you know, I haven't walked for 5 years because my back hurts. So I walk to the mailbox and back.
Yeah.
You know, just movement.
Take the long way around the couch on the way to the fridge.
There you go.
Right. And you know, it's funny. I was saying to Jen just before, you know, everybody looks, you know, yes, I'm fit and I'm active. I don't have lipedema, but my sciatic for like the last, I've never had it so bad, so annoying bad. Like, you know, I'm not dying, but I'm constantly, you know, doing this. Why is my sciatic bad? I have written thousands of words in blog articles. I have been sitting in front of this thing probably 2 to 3 times as much as I normally do. So even though I'm Miss Active in the garden, I'm doing my sessions with you guys, I don't normally sit for 4 to 6 hour durations. So, you know, sometimes even though you're the most active person in certain forms of your day, if you do spend a lot of time sitting or lateral, look what it can do. You know, it's certainly not going to, you know, there's time to heal for sure, but you know, long term, it's not going to improve any situation in my experience. Hello, hound dog.
Say hello.
Hello. Mine is locked out because he doesn't know how to behave on camera. So, well, thank you very much. I hope to be doing more lymphatic discussion, massage discussion. We've got a lot of great therapists out there, but Jennifer's is very unique to me because A, she listens to me and does what I tell her and has improved herself, but B, she's just that balance of experience and living with it herself. And, you know, a lot of the hurdles that you guys deal with on, you know, the big theme of the interviews that I'm doing for the last week of Lipedema Awareness Month is really, you know, whether you have a diagnosis or not, it's not going to improve the care. The only thing that's going to improve your physical situation is what you personally take the reins on and do. So I'm all about what you can afford and start helping yourself with now. You know, I'd love if I could like give everybody a prescription for some of the big tools out there. But that's just not the reality. And waiting to improve your situation, in my experience, is not, it's not going to make you better. So thank you very much. For those of you that are watching this, just, you know, learning about these conditions for the first time, Jen's a shining example. You know, we know what she has, but, you know, she just doesn't have a piece of paper. Even if she did have a piece of paper, doesn't mean,
wouldn't matter.
Right? You know, that's not the state for every case, but for those of you that do come to my page and are soon to flood her page, it is very much a state thing in my experience, you know, as far as the regulations, who can diagnose, money is a consideration for many of you. And as much as there's always a way to get a diagnosis, sometimes financially it's just not attainable. So don't wait. There's many groups, not just like mine, but there's food groups. There's all kinds of places where you can just start understanding perhaps what you may or may not be dealing with, and start taking those baby steps forward. I guarantee you'll move and feel better. And share with others. If Jen's therapist at this course 12 years ago hadn't told her, you may have found out eventually, but what a realization. And still 12 years down the road, the piece of paper wouldn't have made an iota of difference.
No.
And it does boil down to the insurance company. So look at what your plan covers. Some of you do have the benefit of maybe paying an additional premium to get certain coverages. Make sure you plan those things ahead. There's usually somebody that you can talk to at the office. I can give you all the billing codes in the world, but there's a lot of steps to get from point A to B, and really no guarantee. If you pick up the phone and call your insurance company and say, hey, I want to buy a vibration machine to treat my lipedema, you're going to get crickets on both of those topics, because most of them just don't really understand either of them, let alone how one helps the other. So thank you very much, Jen. I look forward to hearing how things are shaking in a couple of weeks. And she's stepping away for the weekend, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Well, you enjoy your time away on the beach. I will enjoy my time in the rain. And thank you so much for letting me ramble and sharing about you.
All righty.
Cool. Have a great weekend.
You too.